cardio is required when facing the best fighters in the world. It is one of the most important aspects of being an MMA fighter, where it determines how hard a fighter can push in very difficult situations. There are many UFC fighters who are able to maintain the same output throughout the duration of the fight, where their conditioning is on point, where they are able to go full force against their opponents. Their cardio has been the main asset in their fights, where they have been able to climb the rankings and gain some big wins in their careers. So for this video, I'll be talking about the 10 cardio freaks in the UFC 2019. Number 10. Rafael dos Anjos. Rafael dos Anjos is a former UFC lightweight champion who is known for his great conditioning, where he is able to dictate where the fight goes. He is as comfortable on the feet and on the ground, and is a super dangerous fight for anybody. In his fights, we've seen him put the pressure on fighters, where he has been able to let his offense go, slowly breaking his opponents as the rounds progress. This was seen in his fight against Diaz at UFC on Fox 13. In the fight, he was able to land the bigger and harder shots, and absolutely beat Diaz's legs down with hard leg kicks. He would also take the fight to the ground and would punish Diaz with hard punches. After dominating him everywhere, he was awarded with the unanimous decision win. He always likes to come out fast and puts his opponent under severe pressure, where he is able to use his great cardio to push hard for the finish. This was seen in his fight against Neil Magny at UFC 215, where in the fight, RDA was quickly able to secure the takedown and transition over to an arm triangle choke, getting the submission victory. Rafael dos Anjos has always been known for his exceptional cardio in his MMA career, where it has helped him defeat some of the best names in the UFC today. Number 9. Holm. Holm is the former UFC women's bantamweight champion who is known for her great boxing skills, where she uses a lot of movement in order to set up her strikes. Coming from a boxing background, she is always prepared with great conditioning and is always constantly moving in her fights. Her fighting style involves her using her footwork and movement to set up her shots. She has displayed in her fights that she is prepared to go to the distance with her exceptional cardio. This was seen in her title fight against Cris Cyborg at UFC 219. In the fight, she tried her best to avoid the big powerful punches from Cris Cyborg, but was throttled many times. This didn't stop her from attacking back and kept pushing forward. The great cardio she has helped her push as hard as possible till the final bell, where she would lose the fight by a unanimous decision. She has no quit in her and always pushes forward with confidence. In her most recent fight against Megan Anderson at UFC 225, Megan Anderson was able to stun Holm with a vicious knee early on in the fight. Holly remained calm and retaliated with a hard kick to the face of Megan Anderson. She switched up her game plan and focused on taking the fight to the ground, where Holm had great success. After the 3 rounds, she was given the unanimous decision win. In her fights, her heart and determination has helped her persevere in very tough situations, and she definitely has one of the best cardio in the bantamweight division. Number 8. Joanna Jacek. Joanna Jacek is a former UFC strawweight champion who became one of the longest reigning champions for a while, using her fierce Muay Thai skills. She always comes well conditioned in her fights, where she is constantly active inside the octagon. In her 5th title defense, she was scheduled to face hard-hitting Jessica Andrade at UFC 211. In the fight, Joanna Jacek would fiercely beat Jessica Andrade with her kicks and punches, where she managed to keep the same pace as the rounds progressed. Even in the 5th round, she seemed to look fresh and remained active for the entire round. After the 5 rounds, she retained her title, winning the fight by a unanimous decision. Joanna Jacek's fighting style requires a lot of energy, where she is always staying busy inside the octagon. Even when she is facing difficulty, she is able to come back stronger. This was seen in the 3rd title defense against Claudia Gadelha at the Ultimate Fighter 23 finale. In the first couple of rounds of the fight, Claudia Gadelha was able to control her against the fence and had completely neutralized her striking. After it was obvious that Claudia Gadelha had slowed down, Joanna Jacek came back with full power and unleashed a barrage of heavy strikes for the rest of the rounds, eventually retaining a title with a unanimous decision win. Joanna Jacek is always well conditioned to go all 5 rounds and has one of the best cardio in the strawweight division. Number 7. Diaz. Diaz is known for his crazy cardio and his forward pressure when he fights, which has helped him pick up some big wins in his UFC career. He has both great boxing and grappling skills, where he is dangerous wherever the fight goes. Outside of fighting, Diaz and his older brother Nick Diaz participate in triathlon events, which is the main reason why he has a huge gas tank. He demonstrated his durability in his fight against Michael Johnson at UFC on Fox 17. In the fight, he was able to keep moving forward and landed clean combinations over the course of the 3 rounds to win the fight by a unanimous decision. He has been able to overwhelm his opponents with his relentless pressure, which inevitably breaks his opponents. A good example of this is when he faced Conor McGregor on 2 weeks' notice at UFC 196. In the fight, Diaz took a lot of punishment in the first round, where he was hit with some very heavy shots and was bloodied up very badly. In the second round, he finally got comfortable and was able to push the pace and stun Conor McGregor with the clean left hand. Conor McGregor was forced to go for the takedown, where Diaz was able to lock in a rear naked choke to secure the victory. victory. Even though he hasn't fought in a very long time, he has one of the best cardio in the game and definitely deserves to be on this list. Number 6. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov is the current UFC lightweight champion who has completely overwhelmed his opponents with his wrestling skills, where he has kept his undefeated record intact. Khabib has grown up with wrestling implemented in his life, which has helped his conditioning over the years, where he just doesn't get tired. In his fights, he is always looking for the takedown and keeps the pressure on his opponents until he is able to take the fight to the ground. This was seen in his fight against Edson Barboza at UFC 219. In the fight, he chased him around the octagon and ate some strong kicks, which didn't stop him from securing the takedown. He would absolutely pummel him on the ground for all 3 rounds, winning the fight by unanimous decision. His fighting style is very wrestling heavy, which requires a lot of energy to execute. His great conditioning has helped him break his opponents, which has helped him quickly rise through the rankings. In his most recent fight with Conor McGregor at UFC 229, he showed great cardio where his pressure proved too much for Conor McGregor in the fight. He constantly pushed forward and implemented his wrestling game, where over the rounds we saw a steep decline in Conor McGregor's movement, where he became slow and sluggish. Khabib was able to capitalize on this moment, where he was able to secure a neck crank in the 4th round, retaining his title. Khabib Nurmagomedov is always well prepared for 5 rounds every time he fights, where he is able to outpace his opponents. Number 5. Max Holloway. Max Holloway is the current UFC featherweight champion who is known for his forward pressure and his huge gas tank, which has helped him break his opponents. His great cardio has been a big part of his success in the featherweight division, as he is able to constantly keep the same pressure for the duration of the fight, where he keeps getting stronger as the rounds progress. In his fights, he likes to remain in close range, where he is best at picking his opponents apart. This was seen in his interim title fight against Anthony Pettis at UFC 206. In the fight, he was able to smoothly dodge punches and land heavy shots of his own. He remained in the pocket, where he was able to land the more heavy shots and kept the same pressure. In the 3rd round, he threw a burst of punches, causing Anthony Pettis to wilt. Referee Yves Levine intervened, and Max Holloway was awarded the TKO victory. Max Holloway used his ability to keep the same pace to completely overwhelm his opponents. This was seen when he faced Jose Aldo twice, where he used the first couple of rounds to get comfortable finding his range, where he became stronger and stronger over the rounds, which gave him the opportunity to finish both fights by TKO in the 3rd round. His great cardio has been a great asset in him, clearing out the featherweight division with dominance. Number 4. Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar is the former UFC lightweight champion who is known for the fast pace he puts on his opponents, where he just keeps coming forward, mixing his striking with his takedowns. He is able to fight at a very high pace throughout the rounds and doesn't give his opponents any room to do anything. He likes to use his footwork and speed to land punches on his opponents, where he is quickly able to move out, avoiding any dangerous shots. A good example of this is when he faced Chad Mendes at the Ultimate Fighter 22 finale. In the fight, he used feints to set up his strikes, where he was eventually able to catch Chad Mendes with the heavy left hook, sending him crashing to the canvas. He followed up with punches to get the knockout victory. Having great cardio has been a big asset in Frankie Edgar's game, where he has been able to push hard right till the end of the fight to get his hand raised. When he fought Gray Maynard at UFC 136, Frankie Edgar was hurt very badly and was falling all over the place. Because of his great cardio and heart, he was able to come back and knock Gray Maynard out, retaining his title. His toughness and determination has been key for him to continuously push hard at all times. He's an amazing athlete who is tough and possesses one of the best cardio in the UFC today. Number 3. Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz is the former UFC bantamweight champion who is known for his movement and footwork, where he likes to feint and pick his shots. This type of fighting style requires a lot of energy, where he is constantly moving in and out from start to finish. He has been able to keep the same pace for all 5 rounds and doesn't seem to slow down whatsoever. This was seen in his title fight against TJ Dillashaw at UFC Final 81. In the fight, Dominick Cruz used his movement to frustrate TJ Dillashaw, who kept missing his shots. Whilst feinting, he would attack and safely move away from danger. Even though he got hit with some very heavy strikes many times in the fight, he kept his composure and kept the same pressure, and his gas tank helped him push hard in the last few rounds to win the fight by a split decision to become the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world. His unique style of movement requires great conditioning, which has helped him make it difficult for his opponents to hit him, and never shows any signs of slowing down in his fights. He has shown in his fights that his awkward style of movement has opened up opportunities to attack his opponents. This was seen in his fight against Takeya Mizugaki at UFC 178. In the fight, he was quickly able to throw a right hand and secured a takedown, where he unloaded on him with some heavy strikes, winning the fight by TKO in the 1st round. His fighting style has been very successful due to his high level conditioning, where he is able to keep pushing throughout the 5 rounds. Number 2. Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is the former UFC interim lightweight champion who has used a blend of unorthodox strikes and his dangerous ground game to secure himself some big wins over some top names in the weight class. He is known to push the pace in his fights, which has often broken his opponents. This was seen in his fight against Edson Barboza at the Ultimate Fighter 22 finale. In the fight, Tony Ferguson marched forward, not giving any space for Edson Barboza to get settled. He kept pushing forward, throwing whatever he had, where we saw Edson Barboza start to slow down. In the second round, he was able to reverse the takedown and sunk in a deep dash choke to get the victory. Tony Ferguson's cardio is unreal, where he is able to just outpace his opponents and just overwhelms them with pressure, drowning them as the rounds progress. This was seen when he faced Anthony Pettis at UFC 229. In the fight, Tony Ferguson was able to find his range early and picked his shots accurately. At the end of the second round, Anthony Pettis broke his hand, where he wasn't able to continue. The fight was called off with Tony Ferguson getting the TKO victory. Tony Ferguson has shown that he is able to drain his opponent's energy with his power punches and pressure, which has made him into a very difficult challenge to deal with. Tony Ferguson's gas tank has been a key part of his fighting style, where he has been able to outlast his opponents. Number 1. Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is the former UFC heavyweight champion who has used his wrestling to drag his opponents to deep water, absolutely suffocating them inside the octagon. He is known to put such high pressure on his opponents, where he has broken them both mentally and physically. This was seen in his rubber match against Junior Dos Santos at UFC 166. In the fight, he completely overpowered Junior Dos Santos with both his wrestling and his striking, in which JDS had no answer. He was able to finish him by TKO in the third round, retaining his title. What he has been able to do to high-level heavyweights in the past is just truly unreal. He absolutely destroyed Antonio Bigfoot Silva at UFC 146 with his heavy pressure and relentlessly beat him down to get the TKO victory. His conditioning is just on a different level, where he is shown to push the pace throughout the rounds, breaking his opponent's will. Unfortunately, one fight that has ruined his cardio reputation is when he faced Fabricio Verdum at UFC 188. Leading up to the fight, Cain Velasquez made an error not preparing for the altitude in Mexico, in which he gassed himself out. He would get caught in a guillotine choke, losing his heavyweight title. Even though recently he hasn't looked like his old self, his past fights have proved what kind of a monster he was whilst he was the champion, and he has without a doubt one of the best cardio the UFC has ever seen. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when we post videos. So that was my list of the 10 cardio freaks in the UFC 2019. Let me know your honorable mentions in the comment section below. Also check out my last video where I talk about the 10 granite chins in the UFC 2019 and my other video where I talk about the 10 heaviest hitters in the UFC 2019. Also let me know which other lists you want me to make in the comment section below. I appreciate your support as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.